want to hear about changing the paint. I don't want to hear about it's different on the hill. It's not. We've been one and done for the past 3 years. It hasn't been different on the hill. How we do that is get better day by day. Not by talking about it. Not by, hey, let's win a CIF championship. Hey, change the paint on 3. It's not about all that. It's cute. That stuff's good for social media. That stuff doesn't win championships. You guys have laid out your goals. There's no need to talk now. Everybody in the room knows. Everybody in the room knows we all want to win a CIF championship. Now get to work. Now get to work. Don't talk about it. Be about it. Understood? Yes, sir.
Rio Hondo Prep football is one of the best kept secrets in all of Southern California. As one of the smallest enrollments year in and year out, the Kares have won 16 CIF championships and have been one of the most successful programs throughout their history. Welcome to A Charge to Keep, the official podcast of Rio Hondo Prep football. And now, bringing you the latest news and content from his alma mater, a CIF champion in 2001, from the class of 2003, here's your host, Matt Hersema.
What is up, Rio Hondo Prep football fans? I hope you guys are having a fantastic summer. The preseason, if you will, the official preseason of high school football as we count down to kickoff here in the 2025 season. That voice you heard in the intro there was from a social media post back on February 13th, I believe. That is the Schurr high school football head coach, Austin Montoya, who is leading the Spartans for the first time in his head coaching career, leading them into the 2025 season. Schurr High School sits there in Montebello, a great successful program over the years, and that is who Rio Hondo is facing in week 0 to kick off the 2025 campaign. So we have quite a matchup to start the season. I'm very excited about it. I know many members of the media are excited about it. And, our fan base, I'm sure Schurr's fan base, they are pumped up as well. So I thought we'd play that clip just to kind of kick the show off here, as we will be having on the program today the Schurr head coach, Mr. Austin Montoya, who has graciously agreed to sit down with me to get us ready for that game here in the summer. This interview was actually conducted about 100 days before kickoff, earlier in May. But as you hear this here at sometime in the summer, you will be fired up. I can promise you that by the end of this interview, whether you're a Rio Hondo fan, a Schurr High School fan, I can't think of a better way to kick off the season in late August than with these two teams playing each other. So we are going to learn a little bit today about Schurr High School and the Spartan Pride that they carry with them on and off the field 365 days a year. Very similar to that Rio Hondo Prep Care Pride that exists throughout the program annually as well. I recorded this interview with Coach Montoya, and again, every time I talk with these coaches from other schools, I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I used to officiate high school football back in the day, and worked with coaches. Sometimes communication wise, it was different back and forth, but always respected high school football coaches and what they do, especially the ones we play against. You know how I feel about our teams, our coaches, I should say, at Rio Hondo Prep. It's great to get some insight into other programs, especially those that we will be competing against. And I've talked to other members of the media when this game came out in January. They're like, oh, this is a great kickoff for both teams in week 0. A game that should catch some headlines. Bishop Amont's playing, Charter Oak's playing, of course, all these schools that get a lot of attention. But I think there'll be a lot of eyes on August 22nd on Rio Hondo Prep against Schurr for both teams. Two teams that run the ball traditionally, play great defense, grind it out. Very similar programs, one public, one private. Spartans, people ask what a Care is. I can say, well, it's kind of a Spartan really, without taking anything away from Schurr. It's a fierce warrior who's going to be there and care about the things of God and care about teammates and his community. And after having a conversation with Coach Montoya, I can say, man, Spartan Pride is a lot of those things as well. So, again, can't say enough about this matchup that is going to come up here at the end of the summer, the unofficial end of summer, I should say, in August. It's supposed to be the fall, but it's kind of football's turned into like really a summer sport, if you will. And that's why we start this podcast in June. And I start putting episodes together in May so that we can just enjoy talking Rio Hondo football all summer long, as well as mixing in a few other things. But I know our fans, our alumni, they love hearing from other teams. So Coach Montoya was gracious enough to sit down with me almost immediately, really, after I reached out to him. And I can't say thank you enough for that. Just the access and being willing to talk with a stranger, after just texting him and saying what I do, what we do. So people ask all the time, how'd you get the coach on? How'd you do that? A lot of times I just ask, get their number and reach out. Sometimes a friend of a friend through media members. But a lot of times, man, it's these guys who are just gracious enough in this modern age we're in to do an interview, conversation, and not let, we're not here to, and there's no bad blood by any means. It's just having a conversation about football, talking about our teams and what to expect here about a very huge game coming up in week 0. There'll be 9 more games for each team after that in the regular season, I believe. But, for all intents and purposes, all summer long, that week 0 game between Schurr and Rio, I mean, it might as well be the Super Bowl, right? It's what you work for all summer. Those hot days, those weightlifting sessions, and the clip I posted at the very beginning of the show, that was actually from February 13th. And again, I follow a lot of the social media pages of a lot of the teams we play and just other teams in general. That was February 13th. It said day 1, really, of Schurr football, and that should go into the detail in which they carry themselves as a football program, 6 months before they even take the field, at least in a game anyway, in February, they're working, they're getting after it. And Schurr High School, again, is a program that takes football very, very seriously. And I am ecstatic that we're playing them in week 0, because there's a lot of teams. I'm not going to go into any names. There's a lot of teams. Oh, we'll play Rio. Oh, that'd be a fun matchup. Yeah, let's talk. And when it comes down to it, they either back out or whatever the case is. So I applaud Schurr High School for playing Rio. I applaud Rio Hondo for playing Schurr High School. I mean, a great program with a couple CIF championships, and just altogether family feel to it. And can't think of a better way to kick off the 2025 season. You're back-to-back defending CIF Southern Section champions from Division 9 and Division 7. The Rio Hondo Prep Kares will be taking on the Schurr High School Spartans in week 0 for another fun high school football season. So I hope you guys enjoy this conversation with Coach Montoya. Again, anyone who comes on this podcast, I consider a friend, and in just getting to talk with Coach briefly a short time, I'm excited for him and his team. And as I tell most of these coaches who come and go on the podcast, I say, hey, I want you to go 9-1 every year. Good luck the rest of the way. All kidding aside, you know what? I have mad respect for him and his program. So let's get this thing kicked off in a few weeks. But until now, we can hype it up, pump it up. And I hope members of the media are watching, to see that not just what we're doing, Rio Hondo. It's not all about us here on the podcast, but to see what other schools are doing, coming on, talking to Rio, take notice of the teams, the schools that are doing stuff different than other schools out there, setting themselves apart. And I'm sure High School, when it's all said and done, will be just that. Their tradition speaks for themselves, and they're just carrying it on. We'll touch on this in the interview, but the things they're doing in the community, things that are bigger than football, I applaud them as much as I can, and wanted to give them a platform to talk about their program here in the summer as we build towards that week 0 kickoff. All right, enough from me. Let's now bring on the head coach of Schurr High School, Mr. Austin Montoya, so he can talk about Spartan Pride and the big matchup between Schurr and Rio Hondo Prep in week 0. Here he is, the head coach of Schurr High School, Austin Montoya. All right, as promised, we are now joined by the Schurr High School head football coach, Austin Montoya. We are recording for transparency reasons here. We're recording in late May, but Coach Montoya, it's never too early to talk about high school football, let alone the matchup between our two schools in week 0. And you know what, Coach? As I mentioned to you off the air, tomorrow we are officially 100 days away from kickoff, so I'm excited about it. Coach Montoya, welcome to the Charge to Keep podcast.
Man, I appreciate you for having me. Obviously, this builds up a little excitement, and breaks up the monotony of spring ball and all that stuff, and we get to talk about, when we have pads on and play some real football. So that's an exciting time.
Oh, no doubt. And that's a big reason I start the podcast in June so that the fans, it's a slow build. We get to extend football a little bit. And yeah, man, with week 0 coming in August now, it seems like summer flies by now. You graduate school or there's graduation, and then, hey, we got a little time off, except for the football teams. They're working all summer, and then boom, we're kicking off.
Yeah, it's we got that little break of dead period, and it's right back to the action. But that man, we've been going since January, December or so. So it's it's a year-round sport nowadays. I know obviously over there you guys have to share athletes, and they're playing sports year-round, not necessarily football year-round, but that's kind of the nature of the beast nowadays. Is it's going year-round. They're working their tails off.
Yeah, Coach Carson has a tough job of having to fill all these sports teams with a small student body, but he's also making sure guys are in that weight room and maybe some other football activities in the spring and stuff. But I was drawn to you guys as I found out we were playing you in January, whatever it was. I did my homework, looked into Schurr, and I saw some of your social media stuff. Saw you guys were in the weight room, hitting it hard in February. I think it was you yelling at the kids like it's not about social media. And I love what I saw from you guys. So yeah, I mean, talk to me about. I mean, I see you right now. You got some players behind you. Is this a team room or something? You guys just finished up some spring practice?
So I know we spoke off the air kind of your alumni base. We have a lot of similarities in our programs, I think, and one of the kind of similarities is the big alumni base. So one of our alumni runs a pizza joint called Rio's Pizza, and it's here locally near us in Almonte. So we just finished a kind of 7-on-7 4-way over at Arroyo High School. And so some of the coaches came together to kind of digress and debrief here on, what we just saw. And then obviously we don't have buses, so a lot of the kids get driven around to and from by us. So they're here joining and just enjoying some pizza. Luckily, we have obviously that alumni base that gives us kind of a home and a place where we can come together and gather and spend some time too off the field. Obviously, we're, grinding them pretty hard, but it gives us a little downtime and a little humility to their coaching staff when they get to break bread with them.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. I think that's one of the great things Rio does as well, and yeah, just the constant time together is great. And we talked about kind of the spring and the summer and everything that's coming about here, but the fact that you guys are around the corner from Rio Hondo at Arroyo High School. I mean, we're right across the wash over there, Coach. I guys are busy practicing baseball right now, but you know what? Hey, you guys got the advantage already, getting some what is that, spring ball in against Arroyo and other schools.
Yeah, you're not setting me up. You guys aren't tricking nobody. You guys are a well-oiled machine, man. I know once Coach Carson gets those boys, it's off and running. So, but I saw obviously the baseball team's having a nice historic run. It's awesome. I think the volleyball team had a nice historic run. It's a great time over there for you guys. It's an exciting time for you guys. I know I've seen and kept up on Twitter just for the overall program, man. But it's from afar, I'm a fan of you guys, your school, and just your athletic program. I know it's not easy sharing athletes, with multiple sports, but obviously you guys have had years of experience doing it, where some schools, it's like pulling teeth. You guys work together as a community base to, make these programs successful. So that's, kudos to obviously Coach Carson and the rest of the staff over there at Rio Hondo Prep, but it's from afar watching, it's beautiful to see that kind of community come together and have success.
Well, we appreciate all that. Yeah, it's sometimes it's just it's necessary because of the student body size. It's like, hey, we need a baseball team, we need a basketball team, and all those things. So it's a lot of the same guys, who are going to be playing in the baseball playoffs here that are going to be doing football too. So it's just something the school's been doing for decades. And I want to ask you that as a coach. I asked some other coaches this, and kind of your thoughts on guys playing multiple sports. You're hitting that weight program. It seems like football starts in February or whatever for you guys, but Yeah, what are your thoughts on high school kids and playing multiple sports? Because some guys really do get locked into just one thing, and you can almost obsess over it too much.
Man, it's we're not Monterey and we're not St. John Bosco, so we don't have the luxury of that. Although our population is a lot bigger than yours, it's still on the smaller end in some of those ways because of that, we have to share athletes in order to have success kind of in multiple sports. And I've developed a great relationship with our soccer coach. I used to coach travel basketball with our head basketball coach. So I feel like me and one of my strengths is I'm just personable in that sense. I understand it's a necessity. It's a necessity to share those athletes. And because I developed those relationships, there's no animosity. So we're able to share. We're able to kind of conversate and create schedules that benefit the kids. And at the end of the day, I don't have an ego in that sense. I'm in this thing, to help my kids in my community, and I have a passion for it. So whatever benefits them, if they want to play baseball, then we'll figure out a way to allow them to play baseball and allow them to play football. And to be honest, our only ask is that, they lift weights in that sense. I know our weight room program is kind of a big part of our program, and it's, the heartbeat of our program. So I try and kind of create scheduling where, hey, they're able to lift with us and still attend all the practices. The majority of the programs aren't necessarily lifting as intense as we are. So I try and schedule it to where, hey, if they have practice and all their stuff is taken care of after school, that they lift with us in the morning or however, vice versa. But it's just, again, I think it's beneficial. It creates better athletes when they're playing multiple sports because of the body movements and all that stuff. But also, I think it's beneficial for the school.
Oh, absolutely. And as a coach, you coach in multiple sports is great too. Coach Carson's not only the head football coach and athletic director and defensive coordinator in football, but you'll see him over there coaching third base during the baseball games too. So he's not only football all the time either. Coach, this is your first year as head coach at Schurr High School. I want to ask you just directly right off the bat. I'm sure the media will love hearing this. Is your first year as a head coach? You were with the program as an assistant in the past few years. I mean, you obviously had the final say of this game happening in August in week 0. I mean, you come in as the head coach. What made you in your first game, not just your first year, but your first game as head coach, say, we want to play the back-to-back CIF champion Rio Hondo Prep Kares? They're a small school, but this would be a perfect game to start my head coaching start at Schurr High School.
I think, a lot of the media, a lot of the bloggers, people talking online think that it's an ego thing in a sense. I'm a young coach, so a lot of the things is, hey, he's trying to make a name for himself, or, he's overly ambitious. There's kind of a lot of that talking. I think a lot of that sense is the reason why, we scheduled you guys, we scheduled Lucerna, we scheduled Bonita. But it's not that at all, man. It's one. My kids asked for these games. They didn't necessarily ask for Bonita, Lucerna, or Rio Hondo Prep specifically, but they asked for these games to challenge themselves and put them at the pinnacle of the San Gabriel Valley. They want to be regarded as one of the best programs in the San Gabriel Valley. Not myself. It's not about me. It's about our program. It's about my kids. So when my kids ask to be challenged, I'm going to go to bat for them, and I'm going to create these games that give them the lasting memories. When they, graduate as seniors and they're like, hey, we played this gauntlet of a schedule, they're going to have those memories and they're going to always remember it. But also it goes along with, the way CIF is scheduling playoffs nowadays. It's either you're scheduling very down and trying to position yourself, in a lower division, or you're scheduling preseason, like we have to prepare yourself for playoffs. That way you're prepared when you get up in those games and play in those high divisions. And, I'll continually speak about where I'm from and, how I was raised. And, as a kid from East LA, I don't know any other way than to, put myself in a position to test myself and kind of grit through it. So I've never kind of been one to shy away from challenges. And that's just how I've been raised. That's how I've been taught kind of in this football game. And my kids asked for it. I was just there to kind of oblige.
Well, you sound like the kind of guy I would love playing for sure. I love that. I love that attitude, that mentality. It's like, yeah, let's go. Let's test the waters. Who's the best? Let's go play them. And honestly, that's been a real Hondo motto. In the past few years, we've had some success. But we have wanted to play other public schools in the area, in this SGV, the greater Whittier area and such. We've been kind of forced to play some of these big schools in the postseason. But a lot of people, to your credit, coach, they'll say, yeah, we'll play those guys. Oh, we'll take a phone call. And I won't, spoil any news here or anything, but we've made some phone calls. We've sent some emails. And when it's time for pen to paper, some people may backpedal a little. So I think a lot of the news media, when they saw this game on the schedule, they said, oh, that's an exciting game for week 0. And I don't know. Hopefully we steal some of the headlines as one of the best matchups in week 0. I haven't seen the other ones.
It's an exciting matchup, and I think to start off the season, I know I've seen some of the sports writers already say that they're going to be at that game. And again, it's a great local SGV matchup, and it's something that people have been calling for. They've been calling for people, the bigger teams in the San Gabriel Valley to test themselves against each other. And to Coach Carson's credit, man, I messaged him. I got his phone number, I think, from the CIF website. I sent him a message. I was kind of actively searching out for him to try and create a game. It didn't necessarily align at first. I was trying to reach out to Lucerna to maybe move our game because I think you guys had week 1 open and week 0 you guys had field. So I was trying to figure out with Coach George over at Lucerna to maybe move our game to week 0 so we can play you guys week 1. Coach Carson ended up moving that week 0 game to week 1 so we can fit week 0. So he could have that talk that you guys are shying away. I don't think you guys are shying away from him because he did his due diligence to make this game happen too.
Absolutely. And that's Coach Carson, and our guys love playing for him. He's a younger looking guy. He's about to be 50 here in June, although when this airs out, he will have turned 50. So, him and I have dreamed about this forever, kind of him taking the reins. And he has been an assistant since I think the year 2000 or 99 there at the school. So this has been a long, 20-year work in progress for this program to get where it's at. And, I'll say, Coach, 10 years ago, if we were saying Rio Hondo, they're not going to win a single-digit division championship in Division 9. They're not going to win a Division 7 championship. There's no way. And for us to have done that the past few years, I mean, it's been phenomenal for us celebrating and everything. What did you, when that's the question is, since you wanted to play Rio, when did you hear about Rio and kind of what was some early impact on Rio when you first saw them or heard about them?
So I think we spoke about this off air. It was for me, my first kind of recollection of Rio Hondo Prep was the running back DN that's at Cal now. I forget his name. Obviously, you can speak on him. Ryan McCullough. So that was kind of my first, essentially memory of hearing about Rio Hondo Prep. He kind of put you guys on the map in that sense to me. I know obviously you guys won CIF and stuff before that, but and then obviously the 2-year run that you guys have had. And essentially again the thought about playing you guys, to answer that question, was wanting to test ourselves, and I think you guys are a premier program right now in this valley that we have. And again, you guys are unique. You guys aren't a spread offense. You guys similar to ourselves. We run a beer offense, and it's not something that is really out there right now. You guys are unique and have found a niche that makes your players successful without the 20 Division I kids. I know you said you got 2 Division I in so many amount of years. You guys haven't necessarily had the greatest talent in the San Gabriel Valley, but you guys have had one of the greatest schemes in the San Gabriel Valley to put your players in the position to succeed. And that's interesting to test ourselves too as coaches. It's easy to scheme against spread when you see it every week. It's not easy to scheme against you guys, when it's something unique in that sense offensively. And again, that was kind of, the backstory or the kind of ideology that made me kind of want to reach out and play you guys.
Well, what's really interesting too is, 2 head coaches, yourself and Mark Carson, from what I understand, kind of defensive minded, defensive side of the ball, mainly as Coach Carson is our D coordinator. And then you got these 2 offenses that primarily run the ball in the modern age of, 2024, 2025 pass happy offenses we see out there. What do you make of kind of that in high school football? Obviously, the formula works for us. It's worked for you guys. I don't know. Personally, you see spread 5 wide, guys throwing the ball every play. I think we almost forget kind of the foundation of football in some ways of, hey, this is about blocking, tackling, and hey, getting that 4th and 1 sometimes.
You want to know a true defensive coach? You look at his offense. We want to control the ball and control the clock and keep our defense off the field and protect our defense. So it's probably more of a little bit of selfish thing. As defensive coaches, we want to protect our defense. When you're a spread offense and you're fast paced and now your defense is constantly on the field, that's not advantageous to your defense. So I think that's probably one thing hopefully me and Coach Carson would probably agree on. We want to run the ball to control the clock and keep the limited amount of possessions throughout the game. But again, I think it's understanding your personnel and figuring out what is something that's going to be an advantage for your personnel. I guarantee you if Coach Carson had a quarterback that was a Division I prospect and he had 4 receivers out there on the edge, I bet you he would throw the ball.
Absolutely.
But the personnel base is something that dictates, I think, what we do offensively. My mentor and our head coach that just resigned was a veer offense guy. It's something that I've kind of learned from him, and my young coach is the thing that I think for me to kind of caveat off of that that makes my staff right now very good is I have 90% of my staff right here with me eating. They're some of my best friends, and we spend every waking moment pretty much together. Some of us have children and families and stuff like that, but majority of the time not spent with our family at practice or together. And I have my pretty much assistant head coach and kind of offensive coordinators combined is my best friend that brought me into the program, Carlos Arredondo. He's an all CIF guy, a Wall of Fame guy over at our school. That's obviously my best friend before he's in coaching. And then somebody that I coach who's now my best friend too, that kind of runs our offense in general and coaches our quarterbacks, is Miguel Aguero. He holds every quarterback record there is at Schurr High School. So that continuity within the coaching staff and stuff like that allows for us to create the offense, learn from the coach in the past that kind of mentored us through it, but also allows us to make changes and modernize it in a sense when we need to, when we have the personnel to do so.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's not like we don't have other packages and things. It's just you kind of do what you do well. And Coach Carson definitely adapts. He's a student of the game. If you could, you kind of touched on it briefly there, Coach. If you would talk to me a little bit about Schurr High School, the man you replaced. He said Coach had been there a while, and
you broke up. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, let's see. Test.
Still can't hear you.
Sorry, guys. Brief technical difficulties there. Anyway, Coach, as I was saying, let's talk a little bit more about Schurr football, the tradition, the history. I know you guys are CIF champs in 1980 and 2006. I'm the man you followed in the footsteps of. Tell me a little bit about him and how it all went into you taking over the reins of the Spartan team.
Man, Coach Dave Ramos, he's again one of my mentors and someone that's kind of brought our program and interjected life back into our program. I believe we have a storied history, but we were down for a couple years, and he's come to Schurr from a rival. He's a Bell Gardens alumnus. Was the head coach at Bell Gardens for many years. Luckily ended up working his way over here. And again, I think interjected life back to us. We at one point were somewhere down like D12, D13, and obviously he's built the program up to where we were D6 last year and kind of brought us back to prominence in that sense. But he's not a selfless guy. He's again nurtured and mentored a lot of young athletes, and he's kind of taught me in that aspect the meaning of family and program. It's everything he did was essentially revolved around the program. And that's I think what he's taught me the most in that sense. I love the guy. I got tremendous respect for him. He's a winner. He's all he's ever done is essentially won. I'm not sure. I think he has less than 5 losing seasons and something like 31 years of coaching.
Wow.
So he's, again, just, I think more than the X's and O's aspect of anything, taught me kind of necessarily how to run the program the proper way, how to make sure all these guys in a discipline factor are in line and, reads the culture of what we want here at Schurr High School.
Well, Coach, we all know what a Spartan is. We've seen the movies. We've seen, the fierce warriors that they are. As far as your Spartan football team, you are the head coach of the Schurr Spartans. What, if you had to describe what you want out of a Schurr Spartan, what is a Spartan under your watch?
And resilience, toughness, discipline. I think in anything, I'm going to have guys that missing a block assignment. I'm going to have guys that don't fill the proper gap defensively. I'm going to have guys that, blow coverages. And it's how they respond. I know you've been on our social media and everyone always brings it up. There's like a video of me that, went whatever viral is on our social media. And the big line there is, right, the true testament of man is how he responds to adversity. We're going to be put in adverse situations in life and on the football field, and how we respond is, going to kind of be the definition of who we are. I want, the people that come through my program, the young men that come through my program, to be prepared to face adversity in life, because, obviously majority of my kids aren't going to make it to the NFL, but I want them to be able to have a family and hit some adversity and be there for their children and for their wives, for their mothers, for their fathers, for their sisters, for their brothers, when that adversity hits, and know how to respond.
Well, and it's like you mentioned it right there to pick the end of it, just as far as life outside of football. I'm a firm believer football is the best class out there, the best life lesson experience. You look at your feed here with, Schurr football team. You guys are out in the community doing projects like just cleaning up the city that you represent. Talk to me about stuff outside of football, outside of the classroom, where you're having your guys get out and be a part of the community that is so important to you guys.
It means a lot, man. It's something that I've kind of implemented since taking over. We'll be out doing multiple community services through different, through the city of Montebello, but also through some nonprofits here locally. So, we'll be out there, and it's not a publicity stunt. I don't think there's anything fake about our program or myself. I would like to think, and it's real. I love where I'm from. I love my community. I love my school. And I want to make sure that my kids understand that this community, these people that show us support, they deserve, everything from us. And that's not on the football field. That's making it known that, hey, we love our place, and we want to make sure wherever we are, it's as beautiful as we see it to the outside world. You're not from Montebello, but if you come to Montebello and go to the park that we were just at and see brand new painted lines, and we did a kind of beautification project at the Veterans Memorial at Montebello Park. When you come there, as a son of someone who lost their life in the Vietnam War, and you see that place beautiful, you have a sense of pride in that. I want to make sure that our kids have that sense of pride in our community. But again, like I said, when an outsider comes to our community, it's not this, for lack of a better term, dirty ghetto place. It's somewhere that they see that there's someone that cares, and they walk in and walk out of that place with a sense of, hey, this place is a community that people care about.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's how you build community. That's how you build support for the football program, where, things have changed, right, so much, but football teams, high schools, they used to represent the community technically that they're in, and we've lost a little bit about that over the years. So it's fantastic what you guys are doing. Rio has a saying, I think, leave it better than you found it, when guys are traveling or going out to eat or whatever. So that's something you guys, again, the two programs just mirror each other with that. If you could talk to us about last season for you guys, how the last year went, how the season ended for you, and just everything in between.
Man, we were tough, gritty team, like, we always are. That's kind of the mantra of our program. We're going to be tough and gritty and pound it out, play good defense and stuff like that. Our defense set the league record for least points allowed ever in league history. Our offense was second in league history for most points scored. The year before has the record. So we did a lot of good things. We put ourselves in a position to be, in the highest division possible. And obviously we ended up in Division 6, but we had, multiple achievements throughout there. I know we ended up with one loss to Lucerna during the preseason, and that was a tough, grinded out game, for 3/4 of it. And then we ended up losing, I think, 21-3 or something like that. But at halftime, it was 7-3. So that was a huge testament, to face a great program like Lucerna and, be in it for a majority of the game. That was kind of a beautiful testament to where we're going and how far we've come. But again, we handled business for the majority of the part throughout our season. We had some tough tests. There's Christian, Chino. There was a couple of teams there that really made us work for it. And then league obviously is always is competitive in the sense that we have people that we see every year in and out. And local kids that some of our kids know, so it always creates some competitiveness in that sense. And then again, we put ourselves in a position to, we don't, and it's not to say anything against it. I'm sure people will mince my words and stuff like that, but it's nothing against, programs that are in D10 or however that is. But we want to put ourselves in the highest competitive level that we can. And that's just, where we are. We're striving. If we could, we would be in the open division. Obviously, we don't have the money of the Boscos in modern days to get to that level. But, we just want to be competitive and put ourselves in the highest level competition we can. So we went there, faced Muir, who was a tough, gritty team themselves. I'm sure Coach Lance Mitchell over there will tell you we've talked, since that game, and we beat them up. They beat us up, and it was a war for 4 quarters and ended up kind of getting our heart broken at the couple last seconds of the game. So unfortunately, we didn't kind of end the season like we wanted, but I think a 9-2 season. It's been 2 years in a row that I think we ended 9-2. So we've had some pretty good success the past couple of years. We just haven't kind of had the success and gone on the run in the playoffs that we've wanted. But again, it's the reason I scheduled like I scheduled to prepare ourselves now going forward in the playoffs. We're gonna get those tests out early to make sure come the postseason that we're prepared and we've been battle tested.
Yeah, it's all brand new for us. I mean, traditionally we were a D13, D12 school, and for us to get bumped up to Division 7, Division 9, I mean, this is like unheard of really for us, but there's nothing you could do about it. You got to embrace the challenge. If you want to be the best, like you're saying, you got to go out and play them at some point. So it sounds like you are embracing the changes well and everything while taking part of the tradition. The Almont League, right? The Almont League. Bell Garden,
that's correct.
Mark Keppel, San Gabriel, Alhambra, and of course your rival Montebello. That's a pretty intense rivalry over the years.
Yeah, it's traditionally a pretty big neighborhood game. We have kids that have gone to middle school together, elementary school together for years that got separated through district lines and stuff like that. So they know each other. They're very familiar with each other, and it's the schools are separated by less than a mile.
Oh wow!
So it's one drive down the hill, and you're there in a 2-minute span. So it's again being that close. It's a big game for us, definitely.
Yeah, that's fun. I love rivalry games. Private school, public school, doesn't matter. It's, any games that has a story and has been going a while. That's really cool. Less than a mile apart is what it's all about. Coach Montoya, did you get a chance to? I'm sure you've seen film and everything, but did you get a chance to watch Rio Hondo play last year in person or otherwise?
So I was at the Warren championship game over there on the sidelines. I got field passes. One of my very good friends was the O-line coach at Warren, so I was there up close and personal for that game and that clinic that Coach Parson and his staff put together over there.
What did you think of that? I'm sure you're pulling for your buddy. I mean, if you could, we didn't talk about this, but we knew our vibe on our sideline. We were going nuts, and just like everything was going, not everything going right, but a lot of things going right. Um, I don't know. What was it like over there? If you could, and if you choose not to say anything, that's fine too. They seemed like they were really frustrated with the way we were playing.
Yeah, I think obviously your guys just discipline and buy-in was there, and gave them some frustration. They weren't able to, I think, um, get the athletic advantage like I think they may have saw on film, because you guys were so disciplined in that sense. There wasn't necessarily many missed blocking assignments. I'm sure there is on film, and I'm sure Coach Carson, is critiquing his guys in a sense. But outside perspective, I'm someone that hasn't necessarily broken down the game. It didn't seem like there was many missed assignments. So, you guys, again, that's a testament to having, those young kids coming throughout the program as middle school kids all the way up to into their senior year. They've been able to kind of perfect the system. And again, I think it was more so just the discipline and the execution level that really made the difference. But I think that was just the frustration level on Warren's side was, they couldn't necessarily get their athletes out in space and stuff like that, because they would break one tackle and you got 10 other hats to the ball, because you guys are rallying to the ball. Everyone else is doing their job and doing their 111s.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, when you're undersized, when on paper they got maybe some better speed or athletes, you have to do a lot of things right, and that's kind of the way Rio is. Like everyone has to do their job, and coaches preach that all the time. But it's like, no. If we don't have 11 guys, they will break one and take it far, all the way for us. So, yeah, I'm always curious, kind of from the perspective of people not associated with our school and program, like when you see us for the first time, obviously warm-ups, we don't look like much in warm-ups. We're undersized, and you kind of look at the two teams, you go, wait, these two teams are going to play right now. But I will say I've watched a lot of football, Coach, for Rio anyway. That was one of the best performances we've ever had. So yeah, I appreciate your kind words there, but I mean, that really was something fun to watch on our end. And yeah, I don't know that we could have played better that night, which, if you're that good one time, that means, you're probably not going to be that good again. I don't know. Anyway, but
you're trying to bait me. You see, you guys have been that good for a couple of years now.
No, we have been. You're right. I would not bait you. We bring coaches on here to have some fun and chat about the game. So
I'm having a blast, man. Again, I appreciate it.
Hey, it's, again, when we have other coaches on or talk to other media members, whatever, we want to kind of get the perspective that the identity of Rio Hondo, the things they're doing, that it's coming across, the way it's intended. We want to see, much like you guys are doing in the community and everything, Rio Hondo football means something to us. We want it to mean something to other people too. So when you hear the words Rio Hondo, I think before it used to be like, wait, who is that? What are you talking about? But do you get the sense, Coach, now that when you hear Rio Hondo football, that coaches in the area kind of, they know who the school is and who you're talking about?
I think you guys have definitely put yourselves on the map. I think the name rings bells.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, I appreciate that. Coach, if you could, the summer's approaching. As this is released, we'll kind of be this will be out in a few weeks or so. But yeah, what's in store for you guys? Heck, you're finishing spring ball, but summer, there's the dead period. Yeah, what's gonna summer be like for the Schurr Spartans?
It's a bunch of tests, man. A bunch of tests similar to our schedule. So this Saturday we'll be at the Charter Oak tournament. Again, it's I'm not the hugest fan of 7-on-7, but it's almost a what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a necessary evil in a sense.
Yes.
So it has its advantages and stuff like that. But so we'll be in a couple of tournaments. We're at Charter Oak. We're going to be at the San Gabriel Valley shootout over at Arroyo. We'll be at our ranchos, and then we'll end our 7-on-7 season at the Mission Viejo tournament. So the Mission Viejo tournament is something that we've done kind of program wide for years now. And it's another kind of tall task where we get out there. We've got Trinity League teams and stuff like that. And, we like to test ourselves in that sense. We got joint practice with Charter Oak sometime in July, I believe. Joint practice with St. Francis. We'll be at Damien. Um,
Man,
Anybody in the San Gabriel Valley top 10,
yeah.
we're out there. We're at Muir, I think, next Wednesday. So a bunch of tests. Again, it's not an ego thing and not a thing to make myself look good. It's a thing to get my boys ready.
It's competition, man. It's with all this preparation time in football. I mean, it takes forever to get to those 10 games, and then they fly by in the blink of an eye. I always joke with Coach Carson about this, Coach Montoya. Like, I was like, we run the ball 99% of the time. What are we doing at a passing league tournament? I think we got to get together some type of rushing or running league tournament. What do you think, Coach?
Some inside run, man. Some inside run. So the joint practices, I love those. I love those because we get 11 on 11. So like Charter Oak, we'll get an 11 on 11 with them. St. Francis will get an 11 on 11 with them. I believe Glendora, we have 11 on 11 with them. So all the rest of them will be 7 on 7s. But I love those joint practices because we get to have those sessions. So the joint practices ended up being, inside run and 7 on 7 kind of simultaneously. Yeah. And then obviously we get to an 11 on 11 section. And that is the closest thing to, a padded game as we can get. And that's kind of, where we make our money and where we get our best looks on film is obviously getting that 11 on 11 film. And at the end of the day, it's about getting film to get our guys to watch film, get our coaches to break it down, and then teach them as much as possible before that week 0 game when it really counts.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know that teams did joint practices. You hear about that in, the NFL and college and stuff. So it's cool to see that has been a high school thing as well. Coach, before I let you go, just, 1 or 2 more things. Just high school football, kind of what it means to you. You're someone who seems very passionate about it. I don't know, if you had to sum up high school football, the impact it has, not just on you, but families, the kids. I mean, why is high school football so important to you and your program and your family and just in general, high school ball?
Community and relationships, I think. Community and relationships. I spoke to you off air, and so I one of our Schurr alumni is the youngest Division I athletic director in the nation. He's Richard Duran. He's another mentor of mine. He's been a great resource to the program and myself personally. And he had me GA at his university, the University of Incarnate Word in San Antonio, Texas. Cam Ward actually went there, so he just got drafted. So they're big on the map right now because of that. And, I could have stood there, and if I call him right now, I'm sure that because of my relationship, I'll get some type of entry-level position in college. But you don't get the same impacts that you do in high school. Again, I spoke to you off air, and I love my kids. I love my community. I can tell you, who's having a bad day, what's going on in their life, because I care and I'm integrated in there. But I also have, my hands in molding them. It takes a village to raise these kids. And I've seen a lot of unfortunate situations, within my family, within my community, to where, loss of life, to, jail time, and a lot of unnecessary situations that people in my community have been, placed in, that have changed the dynamic of their life for the negative. And I want to be that positive light in my community. I've, had opportunities to go elsewhere. I've had opportunities to stay in college. This place means a lot to me. So I think what makes this place special is the impact that you could have on these kids. You can really make an impact here. You may not be sending any kids to the NFL, but you may change a kid from, making a decision that, sends them to jail, unfortunately. Obviously not to be grim in that sense, but your impact on them could make them go join a union, or make them, become an electrician, and make them have a trade, make them, be a good family man, be a good member of this community. And I think, again, that community-based, that impact that you have on the kids makes high school football special.
Man, that's very well said. And you're right. I mean, most of us older men, we played ball at one point in high school, and we probably still talk about those days, whether you're an electrician, a FedEx driver like myself, a barber, whatever the case is. There's nothing like high school football, and I'm always trying to encourage people, get out, watch your local teams, support your teams. These kids represent you each and every Friday. And finally, Coach, I'll let you closing remarks, if you will, just on your excitement for this game. August 22nd, we are about 101 days away as we record this. Rio Hondo Prep against the Schurr Spartans. Talk to me about it.
Again, I think I'm not sure if it was on air at this point or off there. I think we spoke about just the excitement. The Twitterverse is kind of put out there with this game. I think it's going to be, a high level match of two programs that I think are well regarded. I think we're still on the rise. I don't want to get ahead of myself and create clickbait for anything like that. But I think we still got a ways to go. But I like to think that we're on a rise to where we want to be. And I think it's two gritty teams that play great defense and run the ball. And it may not be the most exciting and flashy, but for real football people that really love this thing, I think they'll enjoy the intricacies. It's kind of like, a boxing match or a UFC match. Somebody's not necessarily loving somebody that just jabbing, right? They always love the knockout, but this is going to be a technical battle, I think, and it's a great test for myself and my kids. And so, again, I'm excited at the intricacies of the game. Obviously, I have tremendous respect for Coach Carson and his staff and everything that they do in that program. And you get excited when it's a test. You don't get excited when, you're going to blow out a team or something like that. And you get excited when you have to coach and you have to prepare and you have sleepless nights trying to figure out how to stop something. You have all that stuff, adds into the excitement, and you have to be on your A game in order to get, a victory in that sense. And I'm excited for all those tests, and those tests for my kids, those tests for me as a coach, and man, my first game as a coach. It's going to be a lot of emotion, a lot of high energy, but to be honest, there's not many other teams that I would much rather have my first game against a program that again has a lot of respect for me.
Well, thank you so much, Coach, for spending the time talking with me. You got your players behind you there, finishing up their pizza. It looks like it's been late here on a Tuesday night here in May, but I appreciate everything. We look forward to this game so much. You are a program we greatly respect and are excited to compete against. I love the boxing analogies, my kind of guy for sure. Hey, I look forward to seeing you August 22nd. Look, a big handshake for me. This has been a privilege and an honor, Coach. Thanks for helping me pump this game up here.
Again, I appreciate the time. I appreciate you kind of, interjecting some more excitement to it. I'm sure when this comes out, people are going to watch it and it's going to add some even more excitement to the game. Those are great high school games with great crowds, and the excitement behind it are that's what creates the juices and the lasting memories for these kids. So again, I appreciate the opportunity to be here, speak about my program, speak about the game, and I look forward to obviously meeting you and kind of putting a face to a name in person.
Likewise, Coach. We will see you August 22nd, week 0, Rio Hondo Prep against the Schurr Spartans. Cannot wait. Head coach Austin Montoya, thanks for joining me today. We'll see you in about 100 days. Well, guys, each and every time I interview one of the coaches from the other teams, the opponents we're going to face, I walk away with such respect. I kind of know at the moment they agree to talk with me, usually having never met me before, whether it's, getting my number from, a media member or from Coach Carson or just me reaching out. These guys are so gracious with their time to dive into this, the social media age and sit and talk with a guy about high school football. And, I always give them the time. I'm not here to corner anybody. We just, talking about the mutual respect we have for two great programs. So I hope our Rio fans enjoyed that as much as I did. Again, you get a little insight onto the opponent you're playing. I know earlier this summer we heard from MLK, the MLK head coach, about kind of the last year's playoff experience. Well, this is another opportunity to hear from a program that we will be playing in the near future. I'm not sure if I'm going to release this the week of the game in August. That seems a long way away. And I like recording these things pretty far out just so that I kind of am prepared as the season goes, because once we kick off in August, man, it's 2 episodes a week for me. And fitting it all in a timely manner gets a little interesting. So I record these usually in May and a little bit of June to kind of just spread them out. But I really appreciate Coach Montoya coming on here. I just talked with him yesterday about this, and he was all about it. So I said, you know what, are you free tonight? Let's do it tonight. And he said, let's go. So we learned some things about Schurr High School, Spartan Pride, which I can't get enough of. I absolutely love that. I don't care who your school is, where you're at, what your mascot is, man. If you take pride in your community, the people around you, the people that support you, and you make things bigger than football, you make other people around you more important than yourself. Those same people come out and cheer you on a Friday night, right? But football's bigger than all these things. All those things are bigger than football. That's one of the things I love about football is this it ties people together, I think, more than other sports. And it's no knock on basketball and hockey and baseball. It's just football's different, man. It's different. It's uniquely American. And I think there's something to that as well. So absolutely love Coach Montoya's message. I love his program, what they stand for. As a former, again, high school football official years ago, I have very I know the programs in the area. I know the history. I know kind of what they're good at. Again, it's been a few years for me, but it's not like I have insider information or anything. It's just being around multiple football programs. My point is I know the good ones, and I don't just mean the schools that win a lot of games. I know the ones that do things the right way and run their programs and the way they elevate and build kids up. So Schurr High School is one of those, someone I never had the privilege to be around, officiate or anything like that, but I've heard just amazing things about them, especially guys that work over on that side of the freeway, in the Whittier, Montebello area. So couldn't be more excited about this game. As I'm sitting here recording this, 100 days away, which you guys are going to look back now and be like, wow, they recorded that way back then. Yeah, we did, because we're that much excited about it. And I hope you guys are excited about it. We've had great episodes all summer long as the boys are, out on the Europe trip, as kids are, both teams are working out in the heat, and parents are just, getting by the summer months, which are sometimes challenging. And we're counting down to Rio football. And in this case, Schurr High School football as well. I do want to say to the Schurr fans out there, Schurr High School, welcome. Thank you for tuning in to the Charge to Keep podcast. We do this for Rio Hondo, but we welcome all those who tune in from other schools to kind of learn a little bit about us and what we do. So thank you very much for your time. We ask that you share this podcast. If you liked it with other people, give it a subscribe to it. That's always great. But to Coach Austin Montoya, appreciate you. Look forward to competing on August 22nd. It can't get here soon enough. Well, guys, that will wrap up this very special edition of the Charge to Keep podcast. Again, our summer podcast episodes, we tie into the history a lot, talk to former players and coaches and things, but as we get closer to the season, closer to the current season, we kind of tie it in a little bit at a time to the upcoming season and kickoff. And what better way to do that than to have the head coach of the team we are playing in week 0. 2 great football programs. I can promise you this, if you listen to this podcast or you've seen a clip of it or whatever, come out to this game. There's a lot of options. I'm sure Bishop Amat's playing. I'm sure Glendora, Charter Oak. I'm sure they're playing, have some great matchups. But I can't think of a better one. I'm a little biased. Can't think of a better one than Schurr and Rio Hondo Prep, especially for those that have not yet visited the Care Park there in Irwindale, a very unique venue for sure. But I look forward to heading to Montebello next year to take on the Schurr Spartans. Great stadium there at their school up on the hill. I've seen driven by many times. So look forward to that one. But that's 465 days away. First things first, week 0, 2025. Coach Montoya and the Schurr Spartans, we'll see you in about 100 days as I record this, but much shorter amount of time as this episode is released. And to the Rio faithful, as always, we're going to wrap up our episode with a little catchphrase I put together, but I think is relevant no matter what time of year it is or the outcome of any game out there. Rio faithful, this is your friendly reminder to always be humble in victory and gracious in defeat, because we always have a charge to keep.
A charge to keep I have, a God to glorify, a never dying soul to save, and fit it for the sky. Arm me with jealous care, as in thy sight to live. And O thy servant, Lord, prepare a strict account to